Welcome back to Deep Thoughts, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to talk about two concepts. But before we get in that, I want to put an archetype in your brain. Because I want you to think about this archetype a little bit as we are discussing the overall subject matter of this episode. Have you ever seen a movie where it comes to a climactic moment in the film, either the end of the film or the center of the film, or maybe the end of Act 1? And you've got a younger person and an older person. And there's chaos going on. Maybe it's a battlefield situation, space battle, normal battle. Something is building up and it's building up. And the younger character is like, let's go. Because he's been told that the wiser, older person has got the solution. He doesn't know what it is. I'm going to go with he's for today. And the wiser character goes, wait, hold it. And even the audience, we are sitting there going, come on, just do it. And all of a sudden he goes, now, boom. And they fire the weapon. They do whatever they need to do. And pow, presto, success. And we go on to the next scene or roll credits. Think about that. Think about which character you want to be. Now, some people might say that movement online explains everything. This little analogy explains everything that's going on with the movement. Anyone who's tired of listening to bullshit and gets off that boat, they're the young person that has no patience, and the people that are just biblically following this, irrespective of any facts going on in the world, they're holding out. They got bruises on their back for patting themselves really hard for it. A lot of them are brand new. A lot of them have been awake for maybe 12 months, and they're just like, yeah. And it's like, dude, if you've been awake for 15 years, that means you understand more of the moving parts that we are going up against in this world. And so the plan doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't cover enough areas, and there's not enough good people with balls to do anything about it. And if you haven't seen what I'm about to say, which I think a lot of you have, you're being convinced to sit on your hands instead of doing something, which is exactly where they want you. Plus, they've allowed you to identify yourself as their most devout enemies of evil. What this episode is going to be about is them dangling carrots in front of us, and us being the younger of the two and jumping after the carrot. In my opinion, that analogy is the inverse of the 17 movement. The younger one is jumping into that movement and staying there, thinking it's an instant solution. It is a solution where someone else does all the work and you don't have to do anything. And the older person is saying there's no such thing as a shortcut. I've said this a dozen times on 650 episodes. One of the greatest pieces of advice I got from a CDC pedophile who just happened to work for our company. I don't know if he's a pedo, but he got fired because he was such a freak. Old fucking guy. He's still alive to this day, and he still works there, I think, or maybe retired by now. Total pervert, man. Dude smelled like mothballs. Really weird. But he did say one piece of sage advice, and he said, it's better to take a shorter amount of time to do the job right than a longer amount of time to do the job wrong. And at first I heard that, I was like, yeah, like, whoa, you're a fucking Nostradamus, aren't you, man? But what he was really saying is, your shortcut is going to take a longer amount of time, and it's going to do the job wrong because you're going to do it quicker, wrong, and quicker, wrong until you get it right. Instead of just relaxing, like Indiana Jones's dad sitting in that chair and the solution presents itself. The real solution to this world has got to be systemic, and it has to be through the hearts of the people taking action and not some secret covet means program that's on the outside that's going to save you. Maybe that happens, maybe it doesn't. In the meantime, I think it's more healthy for us to take responsibility. But now here's the thing. We think things are just happening out of thin air by these folks. They're planning something, they build it up, they execute it, then everyone reacts, problem, reaction, solution, that it's just that simple. Now, obviously, these things can be very, very complex. They can involve years of preparation. It takes a whole mass media organization to keep the illusion going, or the delusion. But what's really taking place is much more cynical, insidious, methodical, I should say. And it takes a long time to get you there. So what they try to do, and you saw this with the George Floyd situation, which again, one of my most liberal Hollywood mentors told me that was all planned. And he goes, I'm surprised I didn't get an email from you first. I'm thinking, what did you do with my friend? And where is he? Because that guy never, ever says stuff like that. For a split second, that was so profound to him. He saw through the BS for 1 second. Then he went right back, I assume. It wasn't just George Floyd, was it? That didn't just come out of thin air. We were all happy together. There was no talk of any racism in the world. And all of a sudden, this one thing happens. No. And you know that's not the case. For the last, I'd say, 5-6 years, the subject of race keeps getting ratcheted up and ratcheted up. They're just building that up, and they're teaching you and teaching me that we all hate each other all of a sudden. They know it's something you can't prove. They can't prove that you are, and you can't prove you're not. So the accusation goes down. Causes a lot of damage. And so when they have that event, whatever happened, you and I will never know what really happened on that day. Looks awful, doesn't it? And everything goes crazy. Absolutely crazy, and it's all rationalized, right? Groups are running downtown Portland, downtown Seattle, and burning the fucking place to the ground. And cop stations, right? They're trying to trap cops in a police station and burn it down with the cops inside. When it happened in Minneapolis, right? I mean, I think it happened there too, right? So you got all this craziness happening, and everyone sits there and goes, well, that's what they had coming to them. And that makes sense. It makes sense. Everyone's angry from this event. It just happened. Just happened out of thin air, and then this thing happens. Oh no. One of the interesting things that you can analyze in the history of filmmaking, and especially film and television, to be honest, is who Hollywood picks in the scripts to be the bad guys, especially the racial bad guys. Because, we all kind of cringe when it's a movie nowadays and there's someone who's the good guys and someone who's the bad guys. If they don't mix up the races in both groups, we start getting nervous today. And I can tell you, if you're 40 years or older, especially if you're 50 years or older, this is the case. And it used to be that Hollywood would kind of create caricature, like silly caricatures of races to make sure you didn't latch on. If it was a bunch of white guys predominantly is the good guys, like back in the day, and some black guys were the gangsters. They'd kind of make them wear silly clothing and they'd act a little funny, and it was to make sure it didn't hurt. It didn't really sink into the race as much, right? But they've been mixing it for probably a good 40 years, in my opinion. But now I want to remind you of Back to the Future. Back to the Future happens about 5 to 6 years before the Desert Storm situation with Iraq and Saddam Hussein. All of a sudden, the bad guys were Arab in that movie, weren't they? We did have a Iran hostage situation in the movie Used Cars when the white guys from the used car lot across the street go over and film this infamous commercial, which is, I shouldn't say infamous, but it's utterly famous moment with Marshall T. Justice. And then they come back across, they blow up a bunch of stuff over there, and they come back and then they get out of their clothes. The cops show up. And because it was right during the Iran hostage situation, the joke in the movie was, I don't know, it was just a bunch of guys running around with towels on their heads saying, Ayatollah, Ayatollah, whatever. That was a very topical joke for the moment. But I can tell you, by living through that era, once those hostages were free, we relaxed really fast in the United States. I don't remember anyone wearing any anti-Iran propaganda on their shirts or whatever, because that happened during that hostage thing. Nope, they were priming the pump to make the Middle East the enemy through various films. Now, of course, there's always, every race is victimized. But again, Hollywood was mixing it up pretty good by 85 for most television shows or whatever, like some sort of Hill Street Blues or something, if there was anything, or a movie, you know. But now, I mean, how many movies have had Arabs as the enemy in them? Or we're taught through propaganda that are people we don't even know. Most people don't speak any language over there, and there's a bunch of different languages besides Arabic, by the way. It's just you see a person that looks like that, boy, they're just up to no good. Yes, there are terrorist organizations because they're living a whole different life than we're living over here. It's just an example. Video games have had the same thing. It's one reason why multiplayer is kind of nice, because it starts to lack a physical characteristic of anybody, and you're just playing, you know, fictional avatars in the game. And I'm not thinking about race because I don't know what you are. It's just a game. The carrots are what their game is today. I mean, they are distracting the living shit out of us today, aren't they? If you watch the news carefully, you will come to an understanding. I mean, most of you are very, very lucid of this whole thing, but you'll come to an understanding that once something falls off the radar, they invent something new almost instantaneously to be pissed off about. It seems that the current administration of America is really trolling the crap out of the public. To what end? You think giving this whole ridiculous notion that people that were separated from their families, which mainly happened on the Obama administration and then started happening on the Biden administration, that these people were brought over the border and split up from their kids, something Trump inherited and then fixed. A lot of them are child traffickers and stuff, right? That they're going to give everyone who can't confirm anything, right, $450,000 a piece. Well, that's obviously an asinine thing. Old man Poopy Pants Biden, was in public and said, I would never do that. And then the White House comes out and says, oh, no, he would, which means, he's being controlled, like the movie Dave, or is it Robert Klein, or Kevin Klein, became president. And he had that controller, and then he finally told the controller, was it Count Dooku, right? Told him to go screw himself, and he took control of the country. Wouldn't that be a romantic idea? We saw that worked out last administration. It's funny because they've had a lot of movies out there in our lifetime where, they'll say, oh, you can't do that. That'll freak out the people. And then the person in charge goes, well, that's good. It'll give them something to talk about. Because they are so drunk on their hubris of power, because we don't do a goddamn thing about them stealing offices, stealing elections. We just don't do anything. It just happens and whatever. So they're just like, well, good. We've confirmed that the overall mean of society is a bunch of goddamn morons that won't do anything. Even people sworn to protect it don't do anything. Judges, police officers, military, no one's doing nothing, are they? Our military's been given the drink so that they die, potentially, at least sterilize them. Whatever they're saying to the justices who look over all these cases, man, they're just turning their head. They must be threatening these guys left and right. But no one takes the chance and goes on public television and, maybe even during their job, because a lot of courts are broadcast to local communities, right? And they don't go up there and they just take a deep breath and go, here's the situation. I was threatened last night that my entire family would be killed if I started telling the truth. So here it is. Truth, 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 truth. And I brought him to the courthouse today, and I got armed guards are going to take us to undisclosed area. It's pretty hard to kill someone in, protective custody when, obviously the group that is putting them in protective custody has super criminal elements in it, but they can't allow you to get killed because no one would ever take that bargain anymore. But, who knows? They give you a new identity and bump you off and no one knows. Wouldn't that be a little movie? You have two different towns that people are taken to. And one town is where you get true protection, and the other town is like this secret, you're going to die. You went to the other town, that means they're going to get rid of you. But they build up the narratives over a long period of time, and they're trying to sink this into your consciousness, into your subconsciousness. They want you to both feel it gutturally and then to feel it consciously as if it was your idea, as if you had an epiphany that this is the wrong thing to do. And the more innocent you are, the more gullible you are, and therefore the more susceptible you are to these formulas. Again, we're pretty sure that everybody is running around for these these paid-off Craigslist groups, if they really knew who was getting had, which is them, oh my gosh, they would turn into paladins for God. I mean, it would be a whole different person after that happened, right? But it ain't happening, is it? You ever had a situation where a lot of information is coming to you super duper fast? You got someone talking too fast. And then you see this all the time in film and television. Oh, hold on. Okay, what are you saying? Slow down, right? Well, that's you understanding that you have too much information coming in at once and you need all that to calm down. You need to go to a marathon instead of a sprint, right? That's one thing I like to practice every once in a while is crisis management through short words to get everyone on the same page really quickly. And one way I practice this is at my lounge. We'll watch, we were watching some movie and someone will come in late and they kind of want to be, what movie are we watching? What's it called? What's this about? And so because no one wants to listen to someone, they don't want to listen to me explain it for 10 minutes and no one in the room wants to hear anyone talk during the movie. I'll lean over and go, okay, this is the situation. That person, and I'm done in like 2 sentences, if even that. And they're like, oh, okay. Boom, and they're watching the film. Now, if it's like we're 2/3 through Dune, I'm not going to try to pull anything off. You better have read the book and just kind of sink into the film, right? Well, I mentioned that right now. Well, if you have all these people running around after these groups and doing stuff, and the people that hire them and pay them $25 an hour to pretend like they care, or if you at least feed them more carrots and more carrots. Oh, well, this is the next agenda. This is the next thing. Well, this carrot never got eaten, so you better run after this one. They never take a break in their thought process. They're living in that rapid Tasmanian devil cycle. They're in the center of a cyclone, just getting hit from all areas. They never take a break. And what does that cause? That causes them never to think. Because you ever hear a friend say, I'm going to go take a vacation. I just need time to think. I just need time to relax and just unwind. A lot of people drink wine, smoke a cigar, whatever. And you're unwinding. You're listening to your mind, having accumulated a bunch of thoughts throughout the day. The system understands this about people. It does, 100%. For those people that just keep broadcast news on their TVs 24/7. Everyone knows half a dozen of these people. Even if you only had 7 friends, you'll know half a dozen people that just do this. They're on their phones constantly looking at the news. Their homes are just blaring this stuff because, boy, they don't want a fact to come out, a fact that they don't know about. They don't want to be caught. This is a new game, right? They don't want to be caught by a friend going, did you hear what Biden said today? And then they don't have a clue. They fucking hate that, man. So they watch everything constantly. Yep. It's a game, and everyone's being played, man. And we've all been played when we were younger. When I first got my first television, I was 14. Very soon after I turned 15, I think I had a 15-inch television, too. It was pretty slick, pretty cool little television. But my dad was just addicted to TV. And I remember I had cable in my bedroom. So in 1985 or whatever it was 84, I think, to have your own TV in your room in Kansas was a big deal. And mine was not a little tiny screen. It was a nice screen. So I could sit there and program. I could paint. I could do whatever I wanted to do while the TV was going. And what did I watch? I watched headline news from CNN 24/7. And there was no debate as to whether or not that was true or not. That was the truth. It was one of the first 24-hour news channels in the world for us here in America, right? Wow. Hook, line, and sinker for me. When some emergency took place, especially when we went into Baghdad, or not into Baghdad, but into, started the sorties over Iraq. Man, you could just sit there all day watching them film on top of buildings in Los Angeles, pretending like they're in Baghdad. And we all bought it because we'd never been deceived like that before. As I'm always telling you, I'm trying to make episodes every once in a while where your brain is being augmented. You're getting more control over yourself. In my analogy at the beginning of this episode, I want you to be the older gentleman or older lady who is like, in spirit, that inserts a pause and goes, okay, wait a minute. What's important here? Yes, I know Seattle's on fire for the 10th time. I know Portland is on fire for the 20th time. I understand. The murder rate in Chicago was insane this weekend, as it always is, right? It's just a little like personal competition with themselves, right? I understand weird things are happening at the Mexican-American border. The idea is look up and over all of that distraction. And first and foremost, find out if anything really applies to you personally. Don't try to save the world. You can't. But you can systemically affect the growth pattern that will become the world. That's what they're doing. They're going after our kids. Brilliant, right? Simple little thing. They control the educational system. They've allowed tons of pedophiles to get into the education system, so everyone's controllable. If they're teaching, then they have that potential of being that kind of person. There's a lot of great teachers. I don't even know if the majority of teachers are good anymore. I would have said that 20 years ago, but today, I don't think I'd say that. I just don't know. But I know there's a huge group of these like Catholic priest kind of guys running around. And hell, the women are sleeping with kids now. Shit, that was never even a rumor when I was a kid. Tell you, some of us high school kids definitely wanted to get busy with some of our teachers. But that was more hormones than anything. We didn't have 24-hour wall-to-wall porn when we were kids. So when you got the system duped, you got the system blackmailed. Oh my God, you can do anything that a human can do, because you can call someone on the telephone and say, okay, remember when we moved you from that school to that school for diddling all those kids and you never did any time? Well, if you don't do what we say, in the next 24 hours, which is going to go against every principle that you're made out of. And if, let's say, someone rehabilitated out of that situation, it'd be just even worse. It'd be like, I don't do that anymore. That was stupid of me. I figured out my wrong ways, whatever. They'll say, well, you know what? Some new evidence might, hit the courts. The DA might actually find a reason to reopen your case. We got some girls that are willing to testify against you all of a sudden. So you better do what we say. Boom, they got you. But there's a lot of people, as part of the teachers' unions, that they don't teach. Some have never taught before. They're just little liars at the top. Little infiltrators from Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, straight out of Europe. I don't mean to create tremendous paranoia, but you just got to understand how the system works. It's duped all the way to the tippy top. And that pyramid they keep showing you, at the very tippy top is the most corrupt people that run the world, right? They could do the right thing, but they refuse to do so. So we just have to make assumptions about their soul's composition, if they have one. Well, if we were to do a meteorological overlay, where red hot, or black hot, I should say, is utter corruption and utter horrible rituals and weird things that they worship, then all the way at the top is black, and all the way at the bottom, hopefully down at our level, it's, white, some other lesser color, blue, Hopefully we're more healthy at the bottom. But those positions of power allow you to do anything that you want to do. Remember the movie Blade Runner at the very beginning, when Deckard gets pulled into his old boss to get assigned to chase these replicants that got away from the Tyrell, or the mining corporation, right? Deckard throws down at the very beginning of the conversation. He says, I was quit when I came in here, and I'm twice as quit now. And he tries to walk out of the room, and was it Captain Brian Stucco? He said, either you're a cop or you're either with us or you're little people, right? You're a cop or you're little people. Basically threatening him, saying, look, you're going to have a lot of problems if you walk out of here and don't take this case. My guys are going to harass you 24/7. And Deckard turns back to that guy and he goes, so no choice? He says, no choice, Deckard. I need my Blade Runner. You see this all the time. You see it all the time. You may have never experienced such a thing in your entire lifetime. And so it seems like a movie, but you don't play with the big boys, and you don't want to play with the big boys because people get hurt. People disappear. Every single split second of your life that various organizations are spending money to broadcast things on the internet, through your TVs, whatever, social media, if they're paying for content to be created, usually there's someone behind that content that's putting something in there that's going to twist it up a little bit. Now, there are very, very few avenues where, certain actors, like a Clint Eastwood, is so famous and wealthy and well organized, he can make a movie and there's nothing in it but just sweetness, right? He wouldn't dare allow anything like that in his stuff. But any of these project films that you see, the Squid Game, that kind of stuff, I mean, come on. The show comes out, you watch it for like, I guess 30 minutes by the time you get into the first kind of what's going on, and you're like, oh my God, maybe it's more than that, but you just can't believe you're watching this. As a truther, you want to watch it because you're like, I got to know what they're pumping. And then it was within a week of me seeing this thing, boom, it's on the front of every single news organization. Everyone needs to see this. And then you start seeing, reports of copycat situations all around the world where people have already died. Because that show was made, people no longer exist on this planet. Now, whether that be 1 or 3 dozen, it doesn't matter. If they hadn't released that show on television and then pumped it, you wouldn't have seen it. Then you have like The Crying Game. You have movies like The Hunger Games, showing you a dystopian, weird-ass society in the future to prime the pump for what's coming. I mean, think about it. Let's say you watched The Hunger Games and you say you were really into it, you really dug it, and all of a sudden within 12 months or 24 months, the world changes and you're stuck in that world in a weird kind of like prefab village. You got the Roman legions coming to collect taxes. You got to sleep with whoever they want you to sleep with, do whatever they want you to do, kill whoever they want you to kill, including your own kids. Well, you wouldn't be that surprised, would you? Because you saw this movie that told you all about it. Stephen King's Running Man. It was made into that Schwarzenegger film. Also part of the Bachman books. Okay, well, it's an arena where you are essentially in this human hunting game. There's over a dozen movies that are about hunting humans. I think Surviving the Game is one of them. There's a bunch. And so all these messages are coming through. And you might say, well, yeah, dude, nothing really, fancy with that little analogy. And then you start taking it down to a subatomic level of filmmaking. Little tiny phrases here and there, right? I just watched, was it the Will Sasso National Lampoon spoof on 300 and Gladiator mixed together? Now, I think Will Sasso's a funny dude. I think he played Curly, something fierce, man. But this movie has a major incest joke going on, where this guy slept with his mother, and it goes on and on and on. The mother just keeps coming onto the sun. Now, movie 43 had a little tiny skit on that too. It just sort of exposes you to something that in my world, when I was a little kid, you might have a little secret conversation with your dad when you heard the word incest. What the hell does that mean? Because someone out in the Ozarks out there is missing a branch on the old family tree. Well, son, this is some fucking weirdos, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I get it. This is taboo. We don't do it. We don't talk about it. Now it's just in all kinds of stuff. And imagine if I can make you laugh at something that is otherwise not good for society, not good for your life, right? Now, Dave Chappelle, 2 or 3 shows ago, had a pretty funny bit about the kid who, he was basically saying he didn't believe that Michael Jackson did what he did. And you can see my episode on it. I got the before and after of the HBO special on Michael Jackson. Just go search on it, Neverland. I don't think he did it either, for very, very strategic reasons, at least to those 2 kids. And I know some of you feel very strongly the opposite way, so I understand. So Dave Chappelle makes this joke because he's like, there's a lot of hurt that's passed around on Michael's behalf, right? And Michael obviously had some issues, right? He had some identity issues and kept doing plastic surgery until he destroyed his nose, right? I mean, literally destroyed his nose to the point he had to wear a prosthetic tip. So, he got a little carried away with his artistry on himself. But it was easy to poke fun at that guy because he had issues. Maybe they were big issues, maybe they weren't. Don't know. If we lived in his shoes, you wouldn't be normal either. Trust me. Trust me, okay? But Dave Chappelle makes a whole line of jokes about how if the kid who he said, well, even if he did do this to the kid, imagine going to school the next day and someone asking you at school how your weekend was. And his joke was, it's amazing. I just had sex with Michael Jackson. It's like, that would be a brag because it's such a, famous person and da-da-da-da. So if someone can make you laugh, let's just put it that way, at something that should be generally repulsive to you. And I know there's a big argument about what is, right and what is wrong. I think there's a lot of truth to Sodom and Gomorrah, quite frankly. Somebody said to me recently, in the last 2 months, that when society starts falling apart with its gender roles, that in history, that society starts to crumble. And so Greece fell to Rome, Rome fell to Europe in general. And even though Rome technically existed on paper for a long time, it transitioned from the Caesar gods to the Christian god. That's how it survived another 1,200 years, at least by any conservative margin. And I think that one of the almost bizarre stabilizing moral forces of a royalty, of a monarchy, and there's a lot of funny stories about Queen Victoria. Victoria's secret, right, was that she was a dude. Even though she had like 52 kids or something, she was a big matchmaker. Apparently some other woman is supposed to be having him off on the side. Don't know. Definitely has some photographs where it could go either way. But having a king and a queen and having prince and princesses, it really made the kids grow up thinking, I'm going to be a princess. I'm going to be a king, whatever. Or a queen or whatever. It galvanized in society these roles. And I know a lot of those photographs going around about, there's a lot of royal family members that are cross-dressers and that kind of thing, so that no one's like, absolute or anything. But I just think in general, when you're buying plates with the king and queen's face on it, or at least one of the two, you're bought into that paradigm. And that causes procreation. That causes your society to continue to exist as you know it from your culture, right? I just had another friend of mine, and we're talking about friends in Los Angeles. Because once you have a lot of friends, especially in like film and what have you, there's been this sort of, and I have a very close friend, and she is fully transitioned from her previous state, right? And the interesting thing that if you actually meet these people outside of the award shows or whatever mass media you're dealing with, or whatever reality show, quote unquote, that you're dealing with, there's this overwhelming consistency that a lot of them are conservative. A lot of them are very angry that they're being exhibitioned for someone's agenda. Recently I just heard, someone was complaining that like just walking outside is no longer fun anymore, because you're being judged all of a sudden in this world where we're supposed to be non-judging, because a method of thinking is being forced on you. How many times you had kids, right? If you had a kid, whether you're babysitting someone else's kid or you had your own, and you're trying to get them to do something that they're supposed to do, and you feel all like you got to have it done today, which is the biggest mistake you'll make as a parent. Just keep mentioning it to them until they get them, unless it's going to threaten their life, right? Start parenting from day one. That's the big clue. Don't just wait till a problem happens. Well, I'll start talking about that. The birds and the bees after they get pregnant, It's like, what? But your kid will resist, and you've probably done it too a bunch of times. Someone's telling you what you need to hear, and you're like, fuck you. And it's just because it's a rite of passage. You perceive incorrectly, as we all have, that someone is taking control over your life, that you're losing control of your life by letting someone else tell you what to do. It's not the case, man. They're just trying to help you. Most of the time. I really believe most of the time. I've told you guys, when I turned 25, I was pretty damn good about following people that were where I wanted to be in life. But man, I made a super commitment at 25 to just shut the fuck up and listen to people who were where I wanted to be in life. And god damn it, if it just didn't just start balancing my life, it started just becoming a nice solid wave of energy, as opposed to the sine cosine of like, you're good, you're bad, you're good, you're bad, right? Now, there was also, a series of movies made where a person who is getting into sort of conspiracies is made out to look like a moron in the film. Was it the one with Jim Carrey and I think his fascination with the number 27? There's the Mel Gibson one where he's stuck on Catcher in the Rye books and that kind of stuff. Those films can get greenlit very quickly as long as the byproduct of the film is that even if the person resolves and absolves themselves for being a crazy person where the 27 meant something or something like that, if the overall mean feeling from watching the film is that people like this are to be admonished, they're supposed to be idiotic, just don't get next to them, don't marry them, don't talk to them, because it's all just like talking to a crazy person. That's out there. Like I mentioned, Da Vinci Code tried to resolve all world Bilderberg kind of experiences into one crazy guy in an attic. Yeah, sure. That's what it is. Just the guy in an attic, has the control of the whole world. Which is not what they were asserting, but you know what I'm saying. They're trying to cleanse that out of your system. The other one is that they try to, I've mentioned this several times, they try to revise history as quickly as possible. Steve Jobs was a big pain in the ass for the powers that be. And so that guy dies and they crank out a movie real fast, but it kind of didn't get that much viewership. And they wanted more angles to be, it was an assassination attempt on him, right, in terms of his character. And then they did this, complete bullshit Fassbender one where they dramatized his problem with his first daughter, Lisa, all the way to the end of his life. And that was all resolved back in the 80s, making him look like an asshole. Facebook comes out. It's a complete DARPA project. Well, they create the Facebook movie, so you believe a bunch of bullshit. And, how many fucking times I've been in a public place, especially the lounge, and Facebook comes up and someone's quoting facts from the movie. It's like, damn. And then of course they did the Google television show, which was it, I forgot the damn name of the show. I only watched a couple episodes, but it's about being it's called Silicon Valley, right? And the funny thing is they opened that whole show up with the guy protesting at some presentation that getting a college education today is bullshit. And of course, they made him out to be a crazy person right after he said it. Okay, I'm not saying don't go to college. If you're into sciences or something, probably like chemistry or mathematics, you should just go because you should get more information. But if you're into just getting a piece of paper for the sake of a piece of paper, well, not every degree works. Let me just clue you into that one right away, right? I was working the other day doing some designs, 3D stuff with some designers, and the room got quiet and we're all kind of like humming a song here or there. And so I took the initiative that someone had, we were making fun of something that was done very badly by a group that's not in the room, an outside consulting firm. And I think it was me. I made the joke. She was trying to explain it to me. And it just was something really, really not smart. And so I said, it was the right point in time. I go, because I got high, in that song, I was going to do this, but I didn't because I got high, right? Honestly, the song is very catchy, trust me. And I played it. I played it on YouTube and we're all laughing and, because we're thinking about that issue. But then, of course, I thought about it. It's not the first time I've had this thought, but the idea is, okay, so you want to get the ghetto all strung out on drugs. And if it's not going to be a prosecutable drug like crack or heroin or something, I don't know how much heroin's in the ghettos. It's in the urban, areas of the world. But let's make sure you're on weed constantly so that you don't have a sharp mind. Whatever you are on weed, when you're not on it, you're going to be even better. Overall. Right. I just don't see a bunch of like super duper successful people going, every day. I know the guys that work in Hollywood that come home after a job's finished and they smoke it to relax and they chill out with their friends. But, there's folks that smoke it all day long. Crazy. It's all from this inserted thing. If I make you feel cool by engaging in something that will equal your demise, what kind of person am I? Where am I on that pyramid? Am I at the bottom or am I sort of getting towards the middle there? Obviously, I'm rising to the top of the corruption chain. America has never seen such blatant abuse of power as we have in 2021. Project Veritas, they just, unfortunately, again, they do this all the time. It's one of my critiques of them, because they're taking the truth and trying to make money off of it. They announce they've got all this information. Join us tomorrow, next week, 11 o'clock. It's like those old ass formulas from the 70s, right? To keep you, up all night and waiting for this big news about your favorite celebrity, whatever. But they went and ran their mouth because they got, what was it, the niece's diaries. They ran their mouth. They had this story. They had this book, this diary, and the FBI comes in and raids his ass. Oh, well, maybe you'll just put truth first and then fuck all your profit. You'll be famous for helping to free the world, right? You want a free steak, you want a free tank of gas, and you're responsible for undoing all of this evil. And I see you at a gas station. It's like, dude, let me just put my card in here. Boom, you're good. I see you at a restaurant. Hey, bartender or, waiter, tell that dude over there I'm paying for everything. I don't give a shit how many people come. Because of that guy, I make a lot of money now. Or my kids do. The world is good. I'll take my retirement fund and go, it's yours. How about that? But instead, it's a get-rich-fast scheme. And then guess what? You get done by the big boys when you play those games, right? Now, the challenge of this whole theory is how intense do you look at this stuff? How do you keep yourself from reacting? Because the analogy at the beginning is how we're going to pull this thing off. Again, if something is rumored, then it's just a rumor. It's good to pay attention sometimes, right? There's this administration, 46 here in the United States. The whole Senate, the White House all said that forced drinks were an impossibility. It was never going to be legal to do it. Why? Because they know about the Nuremberg codes. You can't do it. You can't force people to take a medical procedure. So they all came out and said, we got this compilation video, and Pelosi said it. Now they're trying to force it. Force it to travel, force it to work, force it to buy food. They're trying to kill you if you don't get the drink that will kill you. Now that's something you should pay attention to, because it's going to fester. Now at the same time, it's better that you just be quiet on the side. Dig into your resources. A lot of you have human resources on the ground that you don't realize. You got your brother-in-law, your kid's wife, or your kid's husband, or whatever that is into that industry and can pay attention to it. And just ask little simple questions. Maybe don't come out with the big slam in the jaw that, hey, there's a conspiracy, and, you better tell me what's going on. Just play it cool, man. Relax. You can get people to say things without them even realizing it, right? Happens every day. It's like that stuff on Facebook and where it's like someone's doing some survey. What was the first concert you went to? It's a fucking security question at most banks. It's Apple's security question for all your login information. And these idiots are like, type in my answer to my security question. Well, they got you. There's more information they need from you, but they just got a little piece of information they could hold, because that answer never changes, does it? Do you change the first event in your life? No. That question has to be deprecated out of security systems because someone ran a survey and idiots answered it. And you wonder how people get their phones hacked and stuff? Because they're up there just like, I got nothing to do with my life but answer these stupid questions that nobody fucking cares about the answer. But they feel like someone's going to care. Well, I have a cooler answer than you. You sure do. So you have to pick your battles. You have to pick what's most important. I think it would behoove any one of you, if you haven't done this, at least in your brain. Most of you have probably done it in your brain. But it'd be really cool to put it on paper with a pen and pad. Don't do it in digital form where they can suck it down and look at your list. But make a list of like the top 5 things that you're most concerned about in this life that you don't personally control. Then you'll have, and number them, write them down in any order, but then put 1 through 5 as your top to bottom list of priorities. Feel free to change them on a daily basis. But that will give you a structure to how you spend your time outside of your circle, outside of your direct benefit to build something in your life. And just research it. and maybe pretend for a split second that suddenly you were turned into a journalist. Does someone have to tap you on the shoulder to tell you to become something? I mean, I pity your life if you need that push. Do it yourself. I decide I'm this. I don't know shit about it right now, but I'm going to start today. And once you make that decision to be a journalist, then you don't necessarily have to be an expert at anything other than information gathering, cross-referencing information, and distilling it down for probable truth or false statements. And then reach out. You can reach out anonymously. Just pretend to be a stupid person on, WebMD.com or whatever, right? I don't know. I got this lump on my neck and I don't know what this is. And then it's someone else's lump on someone else's neck and you get that information. Just asking for a friend, as they always say. Network. Find people. Find a friend. Find a friend of a friend. For instance, I had a friend of mine that in this last 12 months, it's probably this year actually, and I'm chatting with her, and she said that she had a best friend who worked in I think she was in the Air Force base in Guam. Air Force or Navy, because there's 2 bases in Guam, right? Giant, there's basically the island, right? And she had said to her friend, hey, I had training in all this like secret weapon systems that we have for the United States military. And she said the most depressing thing about it is, she goes, I've seen over a dozen weapons that can just wipe out humanity in seconds. A whole lot of everyone on this planet. It's just crazy how much death and destruction we've mastered in this world. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. So now here's what I've heard from my friend. It was just her talking about it. I didn't ask any questions. Do you know anybody in Guam? And I said, okay, this person, if blessed with that information, is obviously at a high top secret level to get that information. I'm assuming, okay, maybe they teach it to everybody and no one say anything. Highly unlikely. So I said, hey, if you talk to her again, which they were scheduled to talk again, I said, ask her if she's seen any UFOs. Because according to Stephen Greer and a bunch of, one dude who did a big testimony, but there's others that said that, in Guam, off the coast, they see UFOs all the time. It's just like this thing, everybody sees them, and once everyone sees it and they can all talk about it, they don't feel like they need to necessarily have a press conference. They feel special. And who wouldn't, right? And she did ask her, and she apparently said, no, I don't know anything about that. So, whatever. But I pushed it. Why not? There's no skin off my back. But here's what I think you'll find, and you've probably many of you have already done this, and you do this every single day, and you've probably done it for over a decade, if not more. When you go into these sort of exercises where you're like, I'm no longer just going to watch MASH, the episodes, or Cheers, or whatever, your old syndicated stuff, or the new stuff coming out, Star Trek, whatever you're watching, right? We know the woke societies and all things nowadays. It's just ruining everything. The profits in Hollywood have never been lower and the costs have never been higher. So they're fucked. I mean, it's just super bad right now. But you don't just watch it for the on-point humor. You're looking at the overall arcs of what actually took place on a moral level inside this show. And where was society, say, 10 years prior to the show being made? Was society engaging in promiscuous sex as a hook to watch a show, which was MASH? Hawkeye was just fucking everything in that place. By the time his first partner was doing the same thing, and then that guy left in after season 3, and he got replaced by a guy who was married, but they got him to cheat as well. He felt bad about it, though, of course. Were there any shows in the 60s on television and before in the United States of America where cheating was just a part of the humor arc of a show? I don't think there was. Maybe you know one. I don't know any. Now, I'm going to be my own devil's advocate because there's a guy named Ralph Bakshi I've talked about several times. I'm a huge admirer of his films. He was a Jewish guy, lived in Brooklyn, and he saw like the hardcore Brooklyn through the 70s, 60s, and 70s, and he got sort of disenfranchised with the Walt Disney take on life, which was to promote where we want to be, bright futures, keep the family unit together. And so Ralph said, you know what, it's not like that in the real world. And I'm sick and tired of having these films sort of insult my intelligence that the world actually works like this. So he felt compelled to make movies that represented, in metaphor, in many cases, what was really going on in real life. You watch the movie Heavy Traffic, which was rated X when it first came out, would be rated PG today. Not quite, but damn near. So he, Heavy Traffic, well, first it was Fritz the Cat, which was basically animals behaving like he thought people were behaving in New York, very promiscuous and what have you. Heavy Traffic is heavy, dude, man. Prostitution, guns, violence, death. I mean, there's just brawls on that thing, and the finale is like jaw-droppingly gory for that time frame. He felt compelled because there was such a misrepresentation between Hollywood and where real life was. So I'm sure that when, this masterful show, MASH, comes out, for him it was like, yeah, people cheat on their wives. That's what happens, and everybody needs to know. Not realizing that that's taking people who would have been faithful and never had any problems with divorce and kids being, the victim of the whole thing, and it just makes it all normal. And, you just look at the divorce rates. I've mentioned this several times on the show, but this is one example where you can start tuning your fork to see the subtext within shows. And everyone's pretty damn good at this today, I will say. But you got to understand, if you're listening to a message that seems innocent, be really careful. Now, sometimes you can just trust the individual bringing you the information because you have seen enough of their content to know they have some integrity. One of my requirements with that is someone who seems mentally stable. Like Dr. Saul. That dude's a rock, man. One of the most brilliant human beings to be alive on this planet. I will tell you this much. If racism existed the way that the left wants you to makes you believe in a lot of places in this world, Dr. Saul, who's a black man, would be all over it. And he'd be trying to come up with solutions. And I'm sure he wouldn't say that it doesn't exist. He's talked about it several times in lectures. But his approach is just to say, look, it just takes time for us to get to know each other. But if you inject into society, like Morgan Freeman said, stop talking about it. That was his solution. He's a wise man. I mean, I know his voice gives away, and he's probably a lefty in general, but he really was pretty conservative talking to Don Lemon on CNN. I don't know where he really stands. Seems like he's sort of in the middle. I'm sure he was a victim of real racism as a child, right? No matter what. I mean, I'm just giving him, even if he had the most wonderful life, I'm sure he saw it, heard about it within his own family. It just happened, right? But let's just say there's Alex Jones, who's being, rightfully commended for having a lot of things correct about our future. I mean, you don't really want that guy to be right. I mean, let me just tell you, you don't want the things he's warned you about to be right. And he doesn't want to be right about it either, I'm sure of it. But the problem with that guy, the problem for you and the imagery is that he's so chaotic. And he's so stressed. He looks awful, doesn't he? God bless the dude. He sells all these vitamin pills, but I don't think there's anyone on camera besides perhaps Rush Limbaugh in his most obese phase that looks more unhealthy than Alex Jones at this point. It's stress. He talks about drinking on Joe Rogan's show. So he's a substance abuser as a mechanism to deal with it. And, you and I probably have no clue the kind of stress that guy has on his life. But instead of just backing off a little bit and reformatting his news organization, he feels compelled to burn the candle from both ends every single day. The problem is he is in a stall. He's in a diminishing return formula at this point. We're all kind of going, can I get this information from any other place than a guy that goes absolutely berserk in a caricature way on camera, who got into court in his divorce court and had to tell the court, well, it's all just a game. It's all just a character that I play. Now, sometimes he does fun stuff, and we absolutely know he's doing a funny little thing. His satire is a little too real for me, man. He needs to kind of work on his sense of humor. He'll do these bits where he hates the good guys. And for 2 or 3 minutes, you're like, what, did he flip? This isn't even funny. Just a little side note on that. So as you tune into the sources that you trust, the other one to realize is that sources get corrupted right in the middle of the flow of information. Again, Dr. Saul, he's never going to be corrupted. If you threaten that guy with his life, in the way that he'd have to tell a lie tomorrow and his life is on the line, he'd die. That's the kind of man he is. I'm just sure of that. He lives by principles. He don't give a fuck, okay? But there's other people that would, because they don't handle stress well, and you can see it in their physiology. The other one is there's groups that get organically famous. One of my things I've mentioned a couple times is the kid who does a daily dose of internet. Boy, that guy has more subscribers than anybody I know. For a long time, it was just totally like random videos, and something changed, and all of a sudden, almost every single one of his videos, he cut and paste in a little clip from NASA, a little clip from somewhere, where it's a bunch of propaganda. I don't know if anybody got to him, or if that's just an organic transition for him. He thinks it's a good source. I don't really care if he believes in all that crap. I don't hold it against him. But, hey, he's an influencer, ain't he? Because he puts a video out, and I'm telling you, like, if the video's been up 5 minutes, the dude's got 50,000 views. I mean, it's amazing the kind of penetration that kid has. So when Joe Rogan starts throwing down against the establishment, well, that's some balls right there, man. That's a dude who's coming around. But I think, I don't know if Joe's playing a character. I don't get the sense he is. He seems scarily, frightfully impressionable by the masses. He was against the moon missions, and then he was making money. The guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars, apparently. And all of a sudden, he suddenly believes we went. I'm like, would you find evidence, dude? But you can't talk about it on your show. I mean, come on. A fraud's a fraud's a fraud. Once you find it's a fraud, you may not know all the details about how it really took place, but you don't have to say it all of a sudden happened just because you're afraid you're going to get bad tweets or something. So then you look for the integrity. Does someone have the integrity to hang on to their message, to keep for truth? It doesn't mean you can't change your mind or someone can't change their mind, but here's what I would expect to have happen. SGT report did an about face on the 17 dude. And it's not like he doesn't want that to happen, okay? He thinks it'd be great, just like all of us, right? But he's been around a lot longer than people who are still on the train. And so he says now, he goes, look, I went for it. I fell for it. I made shows on it. And he goes, I got a lot of subscribers because of it. But he goes, I can no longer, in conscious relations to God, maintain this narrative that this thing is actually taking place. But the other thing too is there's sort of a protective layer to a person's personality, because there are these channels like SGT, like that one, maybe not necessarily that one, but you will find that people are super impressionable, like the the Tron kid. He's got his thing, a really young kid. I don't know how old he is, but he seems really, really young. Super duper impressionable, man. And he's just young. He's just young, and he's letting it roll. Anything that happens to him, but he'll just blow up to create this tone of voice on his recording. Oh my God, did you see that? Oh my God, and it's just like 5 minutes later, it's not true anymore in his brain. So he's more dynamic because he's younger. So this is what I mean by stability of the people that you might listen to. Anyone that's sensationalizing something, any of these people that make, very deceptive thumbnails to their truth videos, suggesting that something's going to be revealed, it's never revealed. It happens all day long. They just clickbait the shit out of you, and you go and do their ads, and of course they're not demonetized because they're usually probably on the other side, controlled opposition, right? So if you have someone who's getting ads, okay, but they're constantly talking about the stuff that gets other channels banned, you got to do some logic there and go, this is controlled opposition. When you have channels on Telegram that have just fucking megatons of crap. I mean, the amount of people that come up there every 15 minutes to post the same movie is unbelievable. And no one's like just saying, you're kicked out of the group. You're kicked out of the group. See you later. See you later. I mean, you did your piece, right? But you're not saying anything else. You look like a bot. You're not even talking to anybody. So you have to measure that as well. What you'll find out is that out of the cloud of, keywords that are floating in the world, and people and channels and what have you, if you really sift through it, there's just a silver thread of any information you can possibly take in. I've got close friends here in town that I see on a regular basis. And, they'll send me photographs. There's one of Pelosi being arrested, and it was under a CNN banner. And supposedly the story broke in like January 2021. And then, after the election, she got arrested, and it looks like a pretty decent photograph. But usually what you can do is send that photograph back up to Google and do a reverse search. And if the head has been replaced, for instance, then you can find out who was really in the photograph. So like when Kamala Harris was, I forget who the hell she was standing next to. It was a fake photo. But if you send that fake photo up, you get the real one that she was not with who they said it was, or it wasn't her. I forgot what, so many millions of these things. But I send this Pelosi one up there, and there's no image that is the original image. And I find that like virtually impossible to believe. And there's no Snopes on it or anything. I mean, that I found. If you know that one, please tell me. So the idea was that, by the way, this is sort of a digression into sort of current events, but what they're trying to say now is that all these people were arrested for real, and that they're being forced to do everything that they're doing right now. And that's why the world is so crazy, and they're giving out, these rumors to get you, again, carroted away from reality in a way that it's the $450,000 that people are separated from their families. Just those kind of insane programs to make you focus on something else other than this multi-trillion-dollar infrastructure bill that won't fix a goddamn thing in this country, right? Carrots, 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 carrots. So you need to just go, okay, whatever. And that's just in that bandwidth on the radio, okay, of complete bullshit. And so you find that secret police line in there of the real information. And it's going to wiggle up and down because it'll be in different media in different places. Everyone's touting Telegram as this fucking place where all the truth is coming out. It's like, if you thought YouTube was bad, Telegram is 10% of the truth of any of the whatever percent you can get out of like commercial products, right? It's horrible. It'll make you feel awful if you view the information. It'll mislead you 24/7. I mean, they're very fucking brilliant, dude. They got fake news sites out there saying all kinds of shit that people want to hear. And if you click on one of the way this product works, and if you've ever used it, is it's got channels, okay? And you subscribe to a channel. If you don't know the channel exists, you're not going to find it, right? It's kind of like early internet, right? But if you find a big lie on there, you click the comments on the lie. And when you see 100% of every, like 500 replies to this bunch of bullshit, and everyone's like, Yahoo, this is great. And you're like, what is going on? Is that a bot too? This artificial confirmation that that's the truth so that someone else will view it and think it's great? It's not even difficult anymore to create disinfo and have everybody swallow it. It is so, so simple. Because everyone's sitting on their hands hoping that something happens, and they don't want to get off their fucking ass and do anything. They're just like, oh God, someone's doing something. Oh God, someone's doing something, right? That's the formula. It's like taking your thumb off at some, super Vegas magic show, and the whole audience goes, oh my God, you see, he took he took my nose off. It was unbelievable, right? He pulled a quarter from behind my ear. Unbelievable. I mean, that's what we've degraded down to. So we need as many of you as possible to look over the cloud of just bullshit. And what's really nice is when I've had the privilege to talk to you guys through Patreon Zoom calls or Skype calls or Facebook calls or whatever, or meet you face to face, no one has been like this. Everyone's brilliant. Everybody is discerning information gorgeously, if I may use that word. So I do have hope that sort of the chatter online is not humanity at a whole. They're making you feel like maybe humanity's not as stupid as they're making us believe. That what we think we're seeing as organic replies and posts about things are all just crap. All artificially created. There was an AI And I want to call it was like Lucy or something like that. It was the first Turing test created with microcomputers in the late 70s. And you could talk to this thing. I mentioned it once before in an episode, but you could talk to this thing. It'd talk back to you. And my God, if it didn't sound like it was real, it was unbelievable. You'd say, like, how was your day? And you go, oh, man, it's a bad day and a bad day at work. Well, tell me about your work. Oh, work, my boss is just, what is it about your boss? What did your boss do? I mean, it's just amazing, right? And that was like late 70s with about, 5K of RAM, okay? With pre-constructed sentences where it's just putting in the nouns, subject, verbs, and it's just extracting them out of your sentences. It was brilliant, man. So let's think about this. We have supercomputers nowadays. We have machine learning. The level of bots that could be out there is just phenomenal. And the thing is everybody thinks, well, I shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people think that the channel's authentic, but the commenters will be largely bots, right? The truth is the channels are machine learning channels. All the posts are being controlled by AI. You think you got a dude on the other side, but you don't. And, like I'll tell you, I was in Army of Frogs, right? Which is a complete fucking shill channel. I mean, the channel itself is all about the deception, okay? Trust me on that, man. And I hope to eat my words on it, but I don't think so. So I just posted a question once. I said, hey, everybody, who told you that the Q was real? Like, was it your mom? Was it your dad? Where did you find out about Q? Blah, blah, blah. Boom. I'm like fucking banned from this channel. I don't know what they interpreted from that. But I didn't argue with the soul. Didn't say, just posted one little question. They sensed I might have maybe a mind of my own. Shit, I don't know. Didn't make any sense to me. I think the most, I don't want to say terrifying, because I don't think anything terrifies a lot of us. I guess the most fascinating thing, how about that, would be that the level of social media of any kind, any online information outlets being, color-coded to be a computer-generated reply, computer-generated post, computer-generated channel, page, Instagram account, blah, 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 Twitter account, whatever, being completely AI created and controlled from AI, right? If it was color-coded, it'd be interesting to go in and look at the world. You just have this God machine that will just color-code it for you, let you know who's real and who's not real. I think it would be astonishing to all of us to see just how much we're not talking to real human beings. And that's the big joke on us all. The game is being played at such a 5D chess level. And we're just I'm born yesterday. Give that some thought. Anyway, I'd be interested in your experience of sifting information, of how you've been able to come to some point where you feel comfortable with filling your mind full of any information whatsoever. I won't tell a lie. I personally don't go up to it anymore like I used to. I've been telling you guys this. I like you. Your comments are real, because what's fun about bringing up complex subjects and asking you guys to make comments in certain ways, right? And then I get these brilliant comments, like all of your comments, other than just, like, hey, I like your show. That's cool. It's not necessarily, I don't think an AI would give me any compliments, trust me. But when you come up with your personal experiences, hey, my grandmother had this happen, it's like, I know that's real. And so what's beautiful about this channel just, organically took place, was that we've created a place where people are genuine people. And so we're all learning from each other. And again, I haven't said this in probably a dozen episodes, if not two. If you like the show in general, entertain yourself and treat yourself to the comments. If you see one you don't like, just skip past it. Don't worry about telling the guy off or whatever. But just some of the writings are, I'll be at dinner, just so you guys know. And one of you will post one of those comments. And I will stop dinner wherever I am. I said, listen to this, man. And I'll just read your whole comment out. And I'll click like, So that's how much you impact me from your experience in life and the way you get me. And hopefully I get you too. So I just want to thank you personally for that. If you haven't been to deepthoughtsradio.com, please go. Everything's up there. I'll give you a short bumper today to all the Patreon and PayPal folks. I appreciate you very, very much. Take care of yourself and someone else, and I'll see you in the next Deep Thoughts. Over now. And the older person's going, there ain't nothing but there ain't nothing. Fuck. Let me redo that again.